Good morning, Gate City residents. Good morning, County visitors, visiting Rotarians. Nice to have you all with us this morning. I'm going to call on Kelly Harrell, the invocation and pledge allegiance.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
So for the last, I don't know, 10, maybe 15 years or so, my wife and I get up in the morning and we spend that time kind of in contemplation. Even before Rotary, I get up usually at 5 or so and have a time where we just sit and no phone and just let kind of life come to you. I think it's a really important time. And this morning as I got up, I thought about, what is it that's on my heart that would be meaningful to you as Rotarians. And what kept coming up was is service, obviously, for what we do. And also acceptance. I know all of you in your own lives, you've all got things that are going on. You've got illness, and death, and difficulties. All of these things weigh on our heart. But what's so magical about life is that these things really are supposed to be that way. I think our most difficult times are our times where we grow the most. And when we accept that, when we sit back and say, that's really why we're here. I heard a term a long time ago that life is a school for the soul. And I believe that wholeheartedly. So this morning as I thought about that and thought about what I'd say to you this morning, those two things about acceptance of life's difficulties and allowing them to allow us to grow. And then also our gratefulness to be able to serve. I'll offer that to you in prayer as we bow our heads. Father, we're so fortunate this morning that we get up and that we're able to come together as friends, and that in this time that we spend here together, we're encouraged and we're reminded of how valuable it is to be able to get up and to hear other people doing great things in the world, and then in our own lives taking those steps that allowed us to affect other people's lives through service. And we're so appreciative that Rotary reminds us of this and reminds our fellow Rotarians around the world day in and day out of the importance that it is to those that are affected by what we do. Father, we just ask that you, in each one of our lives here today, everyone is going through difficulties, but we ask you that those difficulties are made joyous in our lives, and the fact that we understand those and we know that we need those for growth. And all these things I offer in your name. Amen. Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Of the things we think, say, and do.
Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Very nice.
Good morning. This morning we have 46 members here. We have 2 guests, Rotarians, Trot B from Crescent, from the Greensboro Club. Simon has a guest. Yep. Tom has a guest today.
Simon?
Introduce? Yeah. It's my son Zachary. He's 13, probably goes to Coronado. He wanted to, I guess, see what Rotary was about, just see what I do on Thursday mornings, and he heard it was a great buffet.
Zachary, good to have you with us. Make sure you get seconds, too. Tell them, will you introduce your guest?
Oh, yeah. Stand up, Michelle. Michelle Bardsley. She came last week and made it through club assembly through the whole thing. Presentation today, we'll bring her back again. So she's already found a table over there.
Oh, Michelle, nice to have you with us.
Thank you.
And you made sure
Well, you should be on the board.
Rick
never seen that much bacon.
Yes, sir. Let's recognize birthdays and anniversaries.
Well, I tell you what, this is the first time I've had this happen. We have no birthdays, we have no wedding anniversaries, we have no partner birthdays. But we do have a couple of club anniversaries, so stand by. Dennis Marcotte. He has been with us for how many years, Dennis? 13. 13, sounds like a winner with me. Yes, sir. Well, go figure. Mr. Chip Vail has been with us for
Several years.
I was wondering, is this actually correct? I mean, we're looking at.
I joined in high school.
I knew that's what it was. You know how many?
22, 24.
Oh, come on, man, you do better than that. How about 26?
26.
Yes, sir. Wow. Winner today.
Wow. Yeah.
And Mr. Plummer has a whopping 3. Yes.
Hard to go after you then.
And Bob Hager.
Yeah.
Yeah, how many of you got with us?
Guess one, right?
Plus 10.
Yeah, Bob, it is good to have you back in the club. It's good to see you. For those that signed up with Family of Rotary, the Tar Heel basketball game with the Tar Heels and the Demon Deacons, that's coming up real soon. That is on the 16th. And Justin, do you want to mention the four-way speech contest?
Yes, four-way speech contest is coming up. Deadline is midweek next week, so if anybody that you know, high school age, wants to do that, let me know. I can get them the information or send it to you guys, so just let me know.
Yeah, we are down to the wire on that one. And the next big thing that's coming up for the youth will be the Rotary, taking applications for the Rotary Youth.
Yes, that's coming up here in the next month or so.
Kim, do you want to say anything about Meals of Hope, the meal packing? That's what Kim Davies.
Well, I would love to,
There you go.
if I could remember it. I have a really good morning. I'm not prepared for Rotary, am I? But we do have the meal packing out of the garden, and it is coming up. I've sent out a number of emails. I'll send another one out today. There's an afternoon session between 1 and 3 that the Rotarians are doing. I think our Rotaract members and Interact are doing it in the morning. And so it's just a great time for you and your spouse, your significant other, to join us, and we'll pack, you know, that day anywhere. I think it's like 60 to 80,000 meals. It's quite an assembly line, and it should be fun for all of us. So I'll just send out another email, and if you haven't signed up, please do.
Please do. My secret goal is that 20 of us would, including family members, would show up. This is a dynamite event. It is weather will not be an issue for this. The meal packing is a huge event for our district also. We are part of I believe it is a 10 million, that's with a 10 million meal challenge, and that's across our entire district. And this would put us so far to helping with the Out of the Gardens ongoing project of carrying meals. And from the several years in they've done this, to about 700,000 meals that have been packed. So we are really pretty far along on that million meal, our goal for a million meals. Matthew.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. I'm here since we're enjoying all this lovely weather. I'll ruin it for you, and we'll schedule the trash pickup for a week and a half today. So I'll put out some meetings today, and we'll get it going and participate in the city's winter wipeout, and we'll see what happens.
And what date was that? A week and a half?
So not this Saturday, but the following Saturday. Thank you.
Ship person, we didn't talk before the meeting, but if you want to make a quick plug, a reminder for Enduring Gratitude.
I would love to.
Thanks
very much. Enduring Gratitude, which is an event to honor veterans of all wars from all branches of service, is this Saturday down at Beaver Pond Sporting Club, about 35 minutes from here. The club has sponsored it, and quite a few of you all have all sponsored it and or volunteered. And anybody 18 or up is welcome to come. We do have to have you sign in on the website, www.enduringgratitude.org. We're going to have coffee, donuts, and
about 550 to 600 sausage biscuits served. We're going to shoot 26,500 shotgun shells at 22,000 clay pigeons and maybe 600 live pheasants off a tower. We're going to feed them lunch. It's going to be cooked in place, barbecue and barbecue chicken, and all the fixings and everything else. And we're going to have one hell of a good time. And if you want to have a great day in your life, come out and help us honor these people. It's men and women. Most are wounded. Some are older. I got a call yesterday from a friend who said, you know, I signed up and they let me in. I said, well, sure, you're a veteran, right? He said, well, I was just in the Quartermaster's Corps. I never even got out of the United States. I said, but you served and you helped. That was part of it. So anyway, if you're interested, if you got time Saturday, sign up, come out. It's a great event. You'll get more out of it than you put into it. I promise you that. And I appreciate all the help, not only from the club, but all the individuals who have helped sponsor as well. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chipper. Any other announcements for the good of the club? Not hearing any, we'll go to Happy Dollars.
Happy Dollars!
Are you signed up?
Dale, go ahead. Come on. He's so funny. Come on. Hi, Dale.
I just wanted to share, first, Kelly, I just think that I love listening to you and for all the words you share and your wisdom, whether it's through an email or Facebook, you are very inspiring. I also wanted to share that I do think the things that happen along the way and memory markers and planting seeds and always hoping to look for the blossom of it all. I was sharing with Rosa about what Chip just talked about and Victoria, we were talking about it. She was like, Mom, I'm going to be spending the entire day on Saturday at Habitat for Humanity. And for a second, I was like, oh, that's right, you told me that. She said, I just think about Dad, and I don't remember how long ago it was that Hal took the girls out there. He did that a few times, but planting those seeds and just hoping that service continues. I'm just grateful for all of that and for all of you. Thank you.
So I'm relatively new to the club here, and so I'm still getting to know names and faces. And some of you know I'm a runner. So Sunday morning I'm running, went out fairly early, and I was running along the greenway near the airport. And there's a section of that greenway that goes through a neighborhood. And so I'm running one way, and there's this guy coming up towards me. He has weights in his hands, and he's just kind of fast walking. And he looks exactly like Buster Lewis. And so I run by, and when I run in the mornings, I don't wear my glasses, so I don't have that great.
That's the
But he looks enough like him that I do a double take as I'm going by, and I run about 10 or 15 more feet, and I just decide, well, I'm going to turn around and ask him. And I just turn around, and I go, hey, Buster. And the guy turns around, and he goes, what? He goes, yeah, are you Buster Lewis? And he goes, no, I'm Ken Stout. I live right here. And so I walk up to him and I say, well, there's this guy. His name is Buster. I could standing 3 feet away from him. Are you him? He goes, no. He goes, well, you look exactly like him. He goes, well, you should extend my condolences to him. And we parted ways and he went home.
Did he ask for $1, Ken?
So you have a golf player. I swear, I'm looking at you right now with my
I'm always suspect about that because I used to go to the Y and I'd go there and this guy would go, weren't you just here? And I go, no. And he did it over and over again. And so finally he said, there's this guy that comes in that looks exactly like you. And then one day we were both there together and I went, oh my God, that guy looks like George Costanza. So hopefully this guy's better.
I just want to thank my good friend Ken Stout. $50 every week.
That's right, y'all can call me that.
I have two happy dollars. First is my daughter returned home from a year in the Philippines last night safely and happy. And secondly, she's going to start her third year of medical school on Wednesday.
Nice.
A happy dollar to Grimsley. The girls varsity and the boys varsity basketball team beat Page a couple weeks ago. And my daughter, who's not a starter, but she gets to play a fair amount, scored 3 points, and they won by 3 points. So I told her, you know, she was like the most valuable player. So
For her points. Chip, I was in Florida 2 weeks ago, and for a company meeting down there all week, and I put on Facebook pictures of palm trees and the wind blowing and all that stuff and where I was. And in about 10 minutes, I get a phone call. Are you in Jupiter Beach, Florida? This is Marty Maxwell, who used to be a realtor here in town. She and her husband Dick have moved down there permanently. They still have the location here. But anyway, they called me. So if you're in Jupiter, you're about 3 minutes from where we live. Would you like to go to lunch? I said, sure. We get to lunch. We're out there and having a really nice lunch. And Dick says, are you still in Rotary? And I said, yeah, I am. He said, did you know that I was Rotary International's Rotarian of the Year, I think in 1991 or 1992, for his work in raising money for a clean water project in India. So anyway, I mean, it's just amazing how far Rotary reaches and who you'll see. So I've known Dick for 20 years and never heard that.
I don't have a dollar, but I have some nice cup that left it.
I'll take that.
It may be rusty.
It's rusty.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll put it in the box.
Well, Grandpappy said, you know, he said, women used to think I was ugly until they saw how much money I had. And then they thought I was poor and ugly.
This morning, I'm excited to introduce Joe and David Hughes. David is the AV guy. Joe will be speaking with us today. They came to us through Ralph, who's apparently a former neighbor, but don't judge him on that. They're going to talk to us about a special blend, which is a coffee shop that we'll learn a whole lot more about. Joe was a stay-at-home mom for about 10 years, and then with I think a BS, and went back to school and became an EMT for a while. And I'm sure that's a whole other program. We could hear some great stories about that. But then went to PA school. She's a physician's assistant and specializes in psychiatry. And I think that's her main gig. But at any rate, she's been doing that for about 7 years now, specializing in addiction medicine with a high caseload and intellectually challenged adults and children. Let's see, she's a board member and a financial chair for a special blend, which is what she's going to tell us about today. Going on 2 years now. This is the spring of 2017 she started. They have a daughter, Maddie, that's intellectually challenged, and that's kind of what brought her into this arena. And have a niece myself, we were just discussing her. Low tone has been a real challenge, kind of keeping her busy. It's about impossible to find a paying job, so she's going from volunteer gig to volunteer job around. So please give them a warm Rotary welcome. Excited to hear about this.
Well, thank you so much for having us today. Again, my name is Joe Hughes, and I am fundraising chair of a special blend. Can everybody hear me okay? Okay, good. So as Walt mentioned, my husband and I got involved with the Special Blend, which is a nonprofit organization. Show of hands, who's heard of us? Yay! So some of my work here is already done. How many of you have been to our store? Yay! Okay, well, we're going to change that. So we started in 2016 with the idea of employing intellectually disabled adults. I want you to kind of close your eyes for a second, just humor me, I'm trying something new. Close your eyes for a second and remember yourself in high school. You're 18 years old and you're thinking, I've got my life ahead of me. I'm going to get a job, I'm going to college, whatever your life path may be. But you kind of, hopefully most of you felt you had the endless opportunities. Now, I want you to open your eyes and realize that only 20% of what you want, only 20% availability and opportunities are available to you. Only 20%. If you're lucky, at no fault of your own. You were just born this way. that is what is facing 80%, well, the majority of intellectually disabled and developmentally disabled adults. 80% of them do not have gainful employment. 80%. And that's just an astounding figure that I said, no. My husband, myself, and with a group of other people decided this is not going to happen for us and our children. As we had children approaching adult age, realizing the limitations and lack of opportunities for our children. So that's how we got started. In 2016, our founding member, Dee Dee Ungenteam, and her family went into Biddy and Bowes in Wilmington, North Carolina, which is a coffee shop employing intellectually disabled adults. And they thought, this is fantastic. Someone's making coffee, they're serving, everybody is so happy to be here. The customers, the employees, everybody. So she thought, I'm going to bring this concept back to Greensboro. And she did. And she found a couple people that went, all right, but none of us had coffee experience, let alone retail experience. We were just passionate parents, honestly, who decided that we wanted to do this here. So that's where Special Blend came about. We incorporated in December 2016 and became a nonprofit status in 2017, June 2017. We opened up our first store. You notice I said first store. I've got high aspirations for this. In October of last year, of 2018. And within that time, we managed to raise $250,000 at the day we opened. We opened the store without debt, which is amazing. I don't know if any of you have ever had a venture of retail. That's a pretty good thing. We started fundraising early on with little grassroots efforts of going into people's homes. They'd welcome us in. We'd do a presentation. We'd have some of our special needs, our children actually, come walking around talking to different people and breeding familiarity and comfort, which really is what a Special Blend is all about. We are a community in a cup. That's our tagline, and that really is exactly what that means. We want people to come into our stores, see a special needs, intellectually disabled adult working, making your coffee, taking your money, greeting you, washing the table, taking care of the bathrooms, doing all the things that any other coffee shop employee would do. And for the kind of the mystery and mystique around special needs people to kind of go away. The more people and the community is around special needs people, the less fear and, quite honestly, ignorance will dissipate. And we have seen that happen over and over again. When we started the hiring process, we had 140 applications, okay, 140. And we didn't advertise, guys. We now have hired 40 people. We have 40 employees at our store, 18 of which are paid employees, some of which have never had a paid job before. We have a 40-plus-year-old gentleman who's never had a paycheck. 40 years old, never had a paycheck. Worked a lot. A lot of these folks will work. They'll work volunteering or they'll work through the school system. It's not paid. He has his first paycheck. We would love to be able to pay everybody, but we just can't afford that in our budget. So what we've done is 18 of our staff are paid employees, and then we have 21, 22 staff that are volunteer employees. They're all considered our staff, but Dave, if you want to show some pictures of that. Well, I did. Hold on, we'll get that a second.
Hold on, she switched up the program.
I do that. Oh yeah, thank you.
You're gonna have to do this.
Is it not?
It takes a second.
Okay. So the great thing about that is, though, is that we have opportunities for many people to work for us as much as possible. We're also doing a piloted program with Mad Hatter. Anybody hear of Mad Hatter? And they have a brunch program that's pretty popular. I don't do a lot of brunch, but apparently it's popular. So he and I have worked together to have 3 of our staff are actually working in his store, which is fantastic because we're able to provide more opportunities for our employees and hopefully hire more people. So that is a great thing. So if you want to go see some special needs, Special Blend, support Special Blend in 2 areas and Mad Hatter, you can come to brunch Saturdays and Sundays from 10 to 2. We have 2 staff members there during that time serving coffee, greeting you, bussing tables. And they are actually being paid for that, which is fantastic. So just some pictures here. No, it's okay. Just pick up one of the just show one of them. I think a picture's worth 1,000 words. I have a whole presentation, but it's for a different, it's more for fundraising. This is more informative, so this is why I'm showing you some pictures. I just want to pause here so I mentioned that we raised $250,000. These uniforms that you see our staff wearing here were given to us in kind by Wrangler. They gave us 2 white shirts for every employee and 2 pairs of pants, and then they designed our aprons for us. So we had a big party that represented it, and they brought us to their lobby, and their beautiful wrap presents, balloons, the whole thing in the presentation of uniforms. So that's been kind of overwhelming. VF Corporation has been very generous and our biggest donor to date. We've had a lot of, like when we were doing making the store, constructing it, my husband was a project manager there, and we had, like electrical donated. Most people donate a lot of their wear and time to helping us get started, because again, this is such an amazing opportunity. Why don't we go to I want to show you a little clip, yeah, do that one. So we've had some really great support. As I mentioned, the week we opened, we had every news station talk to us and come in and interview, and so I just want to play a little clip about that, just to kind of give you, if you haven't been to the store, it kind of will give you a little bit of a feel for it.
Greensboro's newest coffee shop brews up delicious drinks.
Special Blend is built in Starbucks.
But as you walk in the door, you see it's the service that really makes this place special.
The coffee shop that you want to come to because the coffee's amazing, the food is fantastic, and our staff is the icing on the cake.
22 intellectually disabled adults work behind the counter, and 18 others volunteer here, including Joe Hughes' 20-year-old daughter.
And as she was reaching adulthood, it became more increasingly aware that there's not a lot of options for adults in the workplace environments.
In fact, 80% of intellectually disabled adults are not employed. And that's why a group of volunteers started the nonprofit coffee shop.
These people are beautiful people, and they don't always have opportunities. And the community's just cheated of their grace.
It does take extra time and effort to train the employees like Megan Starbeling.
I just like having a challenge and just getting to try something new.
Each employee goes through 80 hours of training with occupational, physical, and speech therapists, learning to count money, make coffee, and talk with customers.
Have a nice day.
Because we feel like we don't want to set them up to fail. It's really important that they feel well trained and they feel confident, because then they will flourish.
Board members say the extra work is definitely worth it.
My heart is overjoyed. I can't even, every time I walk in the door, I want to cry, because seeing the looks on their faces and knowing for the first time ever some of these people have ever received a paycheck.
David, you're always smiling, huh?
For me, it's so enjoyable to watch them flourish, to see them walk in with pride and be excited.
What do you recommend, Brian? What do you like?
I like the signature with coffee.
And when I stepped up to the counter to place my order with Ryan Cheshire, I received so much more than just a cup of coffee. Ryan handed me one of their claim cards. It read, cheerful.
Guys, I see her on TV and she seems very cheerful.
Oh, you're very kind. Thank you for giving me the cheerful one. Wonderful customer.
And so you walk out the door with coffee in hand and a smile on your face.
If you have a blessed day. Bye-bye. Bye now. Come again.
You're truly treated like...
So I think that says it all. We've had quite the reception since we opened. We've pretty much broke even every day. Some days are better than others, of course. And January's been slow, but I've been told that's customary for January for most retail establishments. The day we opened, we served about 1,500 people. We had a 2-hour line waiting to get coffee. Yeah, it was amazing. We thought the board, we were all kind of like, oh no, the staff is gonna this will be it. If anything's gonna happen, this will be the freak out time. Champs. I think we freaked out more than they did, because we're all like, oh my gosh. this is happening. You know, every time you walk in, there was lines, and it was very impressive. So as she mentioned, training, 80 hours of training, unpaid. So that was something we had to do. We did over the summertime. One thing I'm kind of back on the fundraising bandwagon for is to get more training, because again, with this piloted program for Mad Hatter, I want to be able to present other businesses. Here's a trained employee. They'll come to you in our uniform, and then you will continue to train them to get to your uniform. That's the idea, a bridging pilot program. And that's what's happening at Mad Hatter. So so far it's been received very well, and they're wearing our uniforms, which I love, because it gives us more publicity, and it helps kind of bridge this understanding and partnership in the community. And then we'll hopefully morph into their uniform. So that's about us. Does anybody have any questions or comments I could answer? Yes, sir.
Excuse me, I saw your street address, but where exactly are you located?
We're on 3900 West Market Street. Do you know where Holden and Market meet? Intersect? We are west on Market.
Safari Nation and Mythos here.
Safari Nation, Mythos is a strip mall right there. There's a Sheets kind of kitty corner there. There's actually a light that's right going into the strip mall, which is really nice. There's an art gallery there too.
How long have you been open?
Since October. End of October, yes. Yes, ma'am.
And then don't you have like a volunteer opportunity to work
Yes.
with alongside?
Yes, thank you for mentioning that. We have what's called Blend Friends. And these are adult volunteers that work with our some of our volunteer staff that I mentioned before, our crew in the front of the store. And they come in and they do shifts, like 2 to 4 hours, and you can sign up to do whatever you want. We have a little small training session about if you've never worked with intellectually disabled adults. It just kind of gives you like, this is what to expect, this is what the job is, just kind of coaching, guiding, but not doing. But we have those opportunities as well. And you get a shirt that says Blend Friend, and you get to help and kind of help. And some of our Blend Friends have actually gone behind the counter to help out, depending on what their aptitude and interests are. So that's been very successful. We have about 100 volunteers for that right now, active.
Has the traffic been what you expected, or?
Actually, yeah, like I mentioned, we are breaking even just about every day. We still are relying on some donations to kind of do that. Sometimes we have a couple ways to donate we have a Percolators Club, which is something we invented early on to raise money. So there's 2 levels of a Percolator Club, and that's like a monthly kind of donation. What's been really remarkable to me is we've had a tremendous amount of millennial support. Tremendous. I've been so pleasantly surprised to see young 20s and early 30s just overpouring with their support of us, wanting to give back, volunteer their time and money. I mean, college students are giving us $15 a month because they just believe so much in this. So that's been so heartwarming, and the community has just been, it just shows how important this is to so many people. I think a lot of people either know somebody with special needs or have a family member who has special needs. So this is a definite, the outreach is huge.
How many hours a week do the typical employee work? Do they do 40 or?
No. So the majority of all of our adult employees are on disability because for their intellectual disability, which means they have a kind of a cap in how many hours they can work a week, or at risk of losing their disability, which is unfortunate because some of them could work 40 hours a week. But the other thing is you don't want to, with a disability, you get health insurance and all those things that come with it. And you get that comfort of a monthly check. So we don't want to do that. But the bonus for us is that we can hire more people. We can train more people. So we can have, for instead of one person doing an 8-hour day job, we can have 2. So it provides an opportunity for everybody. And some of our staff can't stand, and for other physical reasons, they may have intellectual disabilities, but some also have physical disabilities as well. So standing and being on their feet for a long period of time is not doable. So the majority of our shifts are 4 hours. And they get a break, and they take a little timer in with them that says 10 minutes, and they go into the back, and they wait for their timer, and then they come out, and when they're done, everybody gets a 10-minute break in their shift. And we make sure that we're following all the letter and the rules of the law. Yes, sir.
You talked about your future plans. What are you thinking going forward?
This is my favorite part. So so there's two ways that we're going to be able to, our goal is to hire more employees, give more people jobs, period, end of sentence. So the way to do that is right now twofold. One, in this pilot program I have with Matt Hatter and seeing how successful, that doesn't cost us any capital to do, technically. But I need training. I need a place to train, and I need some people to start training, okay, depending on how big this goes. So that's one way. The other way is opening a second store. And yes, I'm thinking of a second store. That makes the board members kind of like look at me going, are you crazy? And they want to pass out. And I'm like, no, we can do it. I'm also thinking of a food truck, coffee truck kind of option too. So there's a lot of ideas that I'm percolating. Get it? My daughter would be so proud. To try and get that going forward.
Not a question, but just a plug. I thought the layout was absolutely fantastic. You see lots of people you know, it's very, homey, and the coffee was fantastic. It was a great place.
Well, I can tell you a little bit about our products. Carolina Coffee is our roaster, so they're local, and they actually made a special blend coffee for us. We actually the group of us went and did a tasting, kind of like a wine tasting, but with coffee, so that was a new experience. It was really fun to do, and she took all of our tastes and made a coffee for us. So we do have a signature coffee called a special blend, funny enough. We also serve two other coffees. That's from Carolina Coffee. It's not ours per se, but we've just renamed them. It's a breakfast blend and a light roast. So we have 3 coffees to pick from, along with the espresso and so forth. A lot of our baked items, we have 5 vendors right now from baked. We're trying some out to see how the vendors work. We have cheesecakes by Alex, Godino's, which is in Summerfield, doing some gluten-free for us. Cakes by Bees, which is in Jamestown. They do the majority of croissants, savory croissants for us. Sweet Success Bakery, we partnered with kind of early on. Are anyone familiar with Sweet Success Bakery? Okay, it's part of an organization that's associated with Sanctuary House, which helps chronically mental health ill patients, which is my other world, as Walt mentioned. So kind of that was a wonderful thing too, but it's a nonprofit also associated. So they do some things for us. And who am I missing? Oh, New York Bagels has provided bagels for us every day since November. They just bring 6 bagels to just on our doorstep, and we get to sell them. So very generous. And who am I missing, Dave? Anybody else?
Food vendors, that's it.
Yeah, and that's all for the food. And we're constantly trying to reinvent like what's going to be the best, and who's who are we going to be able to work with the best. So nothing's super set, but that's where it's a work in progress.
You mentioned the second place. Any thought, like, other towns in America?
Well,
there's a need for this everywhere.
Funny you mentioned that too. So since this has all come about, we've had a lot of attention. I mean, I think daily attention right now about other folks who are wanting to do this. When we originally wanted to do this, we approached Biddy and Bose and said, "Hey, can you help us? Because we're parents, we've never done, we don't know what we're doing." And she wouldn't talk to us, quite honestly. For whatever reason, she wouldn't help us, wouldn't associate with us, but she'd offer us a franchise for $50,000. I'm like, no. So since we've opened, we've had a lot of, like I mentioned, people from all over from the country. We have some people we're talking from Denver, in North Carolina as well, that have expressed interest in how we did this, and so we're talking to them. We actually, Dee Dee, the president, had a little informal session on Friday where 3 different groups came to the coffee shop and set up a little presentation about what we did and how to, like, our pitfalls. And so now we're kind of like, should we do this? As like, we're trying to figure out because more and more people, maybe we should get some donation money from that as well, as opposed to just, not that we don't want to help people because we think this is great, but it also takes a lot of time. So we're at the infancy of helping others, but I think that could be something else that's going to blossom. Anybody else have any questions? No? All right, well, thank you, everybody. Oh,
I have
yeah.
a quick question. Just, can you talk a little bit about I'm assuming that a lot of the employees didn't know each other before, right? So I'm just wondering about just what you've seen as far as not only developing interaction with customers, but just the friendships and relationships that have developed among the employees?
Very good question. Actually, some of them did know each other pretty well because the special needs community at this age is very small. And a lot of the parents, because we've all kind of hung together about different things, so some did, but some didn't. But the friendships have been fantastic. We had a Christmas party for our staff, and we did this big gift exchange. Everybody came. Everybody had a great time. They exchanged gifts. They're very considerate of each other. They're hanging out. We do a game night now. We're really encouraging friendships and relationships in the workplace, and everybody has enjoyed. I mean, I don't know of any situation where it's been, yeah, this is the Christmas party.
30 cents.
What's also been remarkable about this too is that families with special needs children who are younger, you know, who haven't got to the adult stage, they come in the store with their special needs child, and it's immediately, you can see just the tension just kind of go, whew, like they relax. Because they know they're in an environment that doesn't matter if their child acts a little differently, looks a little differently. They're going to be accepted, and that has been told to me many times. So just the camaraderie of like, you're like me, and we're getting a job, and this is great, and look what I could possibly do. Yes, sir.
Joe, do y'all know the folks at Chez Jeunesse?
Yes.
Do you?
Yeah, and it's funny, is they opened up same time we did. It just happenstance, and you know, I think that's fantastic. The more people we can employ, my job is done. I'm like, yes, you know, I think it's great.
It would be amazing if places like Special Plan and Chez Jeunesse are the leaders in reconciliation in Greensboro and leading this country, leading this city to enormous development.
Well,
on all fronts.
that is very lofty goals, and I share that. I think that, you know, it's endless here. This is proven to me over and over again that you can't put limits on people's dreams or their ambition, and people haven't shown that more to me than intellectually disabled adults.
Where's Maddie? I want to see a picture of
Maddie, there's a great picture of Maddie.
Manager Maddie.
It is.
Don't worry about it. You'll find it.
She's up here. Oh, there she is. So this is our daughter Maddie here.
That's at the grand opening.
The grand opening. We had a beautiful sunny day. I couldn't believe it. I was like, God is smiling on us. Beautiful weather, sunshine, and she works on the weekends. And my our other daughter, who is a teacher at Page, she came back to town, became married, and she actually works part-time as a shift manager too. So it's a family affair. The only person not working there is my son. But that no, I'm just kidding.
But there's always a chance for that.
All right.
Joe, David, thank you.